Hello everyone, good evening. Today we are going to see some short introductory part of Snowflake Editions. So what are Snowflake Editions? Why should we go for it? Choosing the right tier for your data needs, standard, enterprise and business critical. You have to choose the right tier for your data needs. Snowflake is all about handling the data. You should know what are the categories we should choose to handle this data. We have three types of edition. They are the standard edition, enterprise, and business critical. So these are the editions used by the developers. Introduce Snowflake as a cloud-based data platform with flexible editions for different business needs. So the Snowflake actually, they support different editions of Snowflake for their business needs, and they will be used by the developers so that the developers only should understand the business needs and they should construct the query according to their needs. Cloud data platform for data warehousing, analytics, and sharing. That is what we saw the introduction about the Snowflake in our first session as well as in our second session. It is fully managed SaaS solution, software as a solution. It scales compute and storage independently. Number of queries for computation, if it is more, the storage can be less. If the storage of the data is more, the computation of the queries can be less. It supports a multi-cloud platform, that is AWS, Azure Data Factory, and Google Cloud Platform. So this is about the general introduction of the Snowflake. This one we saw very frequently in the demo session as well as in the introductory part 1 and 2. Now, why editions? Why should I go for editions? Different editions are there, provided with the different features and security levels. See, for example, even if you buy a book in the organization, if you go buy a book in the library, you will be checking for the edition. Which edition you should buy so that it should accommodate standard 8, grade 7, grade 6. So similarly, Snowflake is also going to provide us the editions, which editions we can use for the business needs. It helps the organization to match the cost to their requirements. They have the three types of editions which match the cost to their business requirements. Key factors are security and compliance, performance and concurrency, advanced features like data sharing and failover. So whatever the edition the Snowflake is going to provide, that edition should cover all these properties or features. One is security and compliance. Like security and compliance means like in this Snowflake session, who is the authenticated user logged in and how many hours this session was getting used for by him and at what time he has logged out. So it will be in track of the authenticated users of the Snowflake data warehouse. Performance and concurrency. How the Snowflake is going to perform when there is a huge amount of input data as well as multiple users are entering the session and they are coming with huge queries. The performance of Snowflake will be very much balanced. According to the number of queries, it is going to upscale the warehouse or downscale the warehouse. Similarly, for the increasing number of the users, it is going to upscale the warehouse or downscale the warehouse. Advanced features like data sharing and failover. So, for example, it is a churn analysis. If any new employee is coming to the organization, he doesn't have the Snowflake account. So that time I will be providing a provider account and a reader account so that the data from my Snowflake database will be shared to that particular person. He will use the database, shared database for some purpose. After he completes the task, whatever the privileges has been provided will be revoked back. And failover. Failover means it is connected to the time travel. For example, I want to access the historical data of the Snowflake. That time I have to see whether it is a 7 days data I have to look over or 90 days data I have to look over. So these 7 days and 90 days are limited to the edition. If it is a standard edition, it will be limited to 7 days. If it is a enterprise edition, the time travel and file over will be restricted to 90 days. So once the time travel is over, after that also the lost data, whatever the data the customer has lost, he has to go and check for that. For that purpose, the file over property or feature is there. For that time, he cannot handle it directly. He should take the support of the Snowflake admin or Snowflake support. People works, uh, people from the Snowflake team support he has to take to get the file over data. Now, standard edition, the core data warehouse functionality. It's a core data warehouse functionality. It automatic scaling and elastic compute. The automation of the automatic scaling and elastic compute means uh, upscaling of the warehouse and the downscaling of the warehouse. And the elastic compute means increasing the number of the nodes and increasing the number of the warehouse. Those will be taken care by the standard edition. This is a core data warehouse functionality. Core means whatever the data warehouse does, that core operations it will support. For example, the Snowflake is supporting cloud service layer, data storage layer, and computation layer. So these are the core functionalities of the Snowflake data warehouse that is supported by the standard edition. Now, basic security and governance. Before that, time travel up to 1 day. So in the standard edition, time travel is supported for only 1 day. So if any data is lost, you can just go back to 1 day before and you can check for those editions. So you can check for the lost data. So basic security and governance. Uh, so uh, of course, security is always about the authenticated user who is logged in the session and what are the objects of the Snowflake he is going to access and what time he has logged out. And data governance. So all the users, I cannot give the privilege to access all the data in the Snowflake. There are some development data and there are some production data released in the Snowflake data warehouse. So that only the developers can access only the data which resides in the dev database, and some of the users will have the access and privileges to access the production database. So that is the way the data governance has to be done. So in this production database for particular table, I don't want this user to see all the rows. So I can mask the rows and mask the columns. So row masking policy and column masking policy are there to do the data governance in the Snowflake. What are the use cases are? It's small to medium business, this standard edition is applicable. It is simple analytics and reporting. For very simple analysis purpose and reporting purpose, you can use the standard edition. It is entry level cloud data warehouse. So I'm just entering into the cloud data warehouse. I'm in the beginner level. I want to learn Snowflake. So using the standard edition only, I can learn that. I want to do a small business or medium business. That time I can just take the standard edition and check what are the features of the Snowflake which supports my business needs. And it is used for simple analytics. I want to do some simple computations. So with that, I want to do some reporting. For all these categories, standard edition is very much applicable. Enterprise edition is everything in standard plus long time travel. It goes up to 90 days. File safe for disaster recovery. For example, my data is lost. I'm not able to retrieve that in the time travel period. So for that, I have to go for the disaster recovery, the file safe. So file safe is a mode. Definitely, I am not able to get this data and using the time travel. That time I have to take the Snowflake support team to get this disaster recovery data using this file safe property. Advanced security is masking policy and role-based access. So these are the masking policy and role-based access are applicable in the enterprise editions, not in the standard edition. Multi-cluster warehouse for the high concurrency. Why I'm keeping the multi-cluster warehouse? High concurrency means I'm getting huge amount of data one by one. Continuous loading. I'm getting the multiple data from the user, from multiple user. For that only, I'm going for the multi-cluster warehouse. Use case, medium to larger business, requires high availability and better security, and heavy analytics workloads. So, this is applicable in the medium to large size business. So, requires high availability and better security. A medium to large size business means it can be startup companies or Wipro or Infosys or whomever adopting the Snowflake data warehouse. High availability means on the cloud, the data should be available all the time. Whenever the customer wants to see the data, it should be available in the cloud. And better security means only the authenticated user with the SSO login enabled, single sign-on. Enabled users, they should be provided with the better security to access this data. All the users, developers, all the developers cannot be provided with all the privileges to access this data. And heavy analytics workload means it is used for high computation service. Business critical. Everything in standard plus time travel goes up to 90 days. Again, the file says file safe for disaster recovery, as I explained with the enterprise edition, advanced security like masking policy and role based access. So I don't want some of the users below who has this privileges should not access all the columns. They cannot see all the columns of this table. They are not supposed to see all the rows of this table. That is called advanced security. For that, we have to create a masking policy for the rows and columns so that the user who is having these privileges are not supposed to access these columns and access these rows for the particular table. Multi-cluster warehouse for higher concurrency. For more number of data, incoming data, or for more number of users who is providing this data for the computation, we are providing this multi-cluster warehouse. Use cases, medium to larger business requires high availability. The data should be always available in the cloud so that whenever the customer wants to see the data should be available, and better security always follows authentication system and SSO login. Heavy analytics workloads. So I have a my business is having a very high aggregation of data. Some calculation has to be done, which is business critical. Those analytics can be computed using the Snowflake data warehouse in this business critical layer. So comparison, future standard edition, enterprise and business critical, time travel 1 day, 90 days, 90 days, file safe, standard is no, enterprise is yes, and business critical yes, multi-cluster warehouse, this is standard is no, enterprise, yes. So multi-cluster warehouse are supported by the enterprise edition, yes. Business critical, yes. Advanced security. In the standard, it is no. In the enterprise, it is yes. And in the business critical, yes, it is tri-level security. Compliance means this is a basic setup which supports the basic data warehouse operation. Enterprise is the standard data warehouse operations. Here it goes for the higher level HIPAA, PCI and SOC. These are the terms in detail you will understand in the course, and business critical supports all these compliances. Ideal for small and medium business, middle and large business, regulator and critical business. So this is about all the editions in the Snowflake. Choosing the right edition. Start with the use case. Small analytics standard. High concurrency for longer recovery enterprise. Regular compliance business critical. So higher concurrency and longer recovery is enterprise. Regular compliance is business critical. Of course, this business critical also supports a higher concurrency plus longer recovery. What is higher concurrency? What is longer recovery? I explained in the few slides before. Cost-wise benefit, higher editions cost more but offer more features and security. So whenever you go for the higher editions of the Snowflake, the cost will be more. At the same time, it will provide you the higher features. Scalability, Snowflake lets you upgrade the editions as business needs grows. So as your business needs grows, Snowflake helps you to upgrade the editions automatically. So these are the things you have to observe when you are going to choose the right edition in your Snowflake. Snowflake editions are tailored for different business needs. Of course, we are using the different editions of the Snowflake for the different business needs. For smaller scale, we will be using for the standard. For medium and larger, we'll be using the enterprise. As well as for the business critical, it is a regular compliances. We'll be using for the medium and large to the business critical as well. The order of the execution is standard to enterprise to business critical. Key differences, these are the features getting applicable in all the layers: time travel, security, compliance, and disaster recovery. So these are the features getting applied in all the editions of the Snowflake, but according to the feature, the cost will be more and it will be applicable for your business needs. Right edition depends on the size, security, and the criticality of the data. So this is all we learned in the Snowflake edition. If you have any queries or if you have any needed some more content, please post your queries below in this link. Thank you all.
Oh, now what?